and welcome to Coming Soon Reviews. This is a show where every week I will be reviewing a major wide release and then going over both the positives and the negatives about the film, as well as giving my overall impression. So, without any further ado, let's get into my review of Sin City: A Dame to Kill For. So before I even get into the review, I do have to admit that at least in my screening of the movie, there was no teaser trailer for Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight. So I just felt that I should have started that off. I don't know if anybody else has watched the movie and seen the teaser trailer for The Hateful Eight. If it actually does exist, please let me know in the comment section below. So I'm going to get started off with my positives. One of the big positives that I have to say is this movie feels like a direct continuation of the first film. The style, the storytelling, the dialogue between the characters, everything about it felt like it came directly from the first movie. They definitely took advantage of the fact that, you know, technological advancements have happened over the past 9 years. So the CGI in the movie does look better, even though it still is rather cheap. It's made more so for, it's made more so just to look like it's from the graphic novel than it is to look realistic. So it still doesn't look realistic, but the one thing that they were able to do with the movie is they shot it in color, and then they made it all black and white, and then they brought back the color of segments that they needed. So there is more color aspect in the movie, especially when it comes to blood and when it comes to neon. Blood, for the most part, in the first movie was shown as white. Now, in this film, it's shown as white when there's an excessive amount. Like if somebody has a limb cut off or something like that, and a whole bunch of blood shoots out, it's just all white. But for the most part, when people have cuts and stuff like that on their face, it is all red, which I found was a little bit of a departure from the first one, but I liked it. It was a little bit more of a stylistic choice. By far, though, the best part of the movie is Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke is in every single story in this movie, and it's not really a spoiler because, I mean, it's Marv, you know? I mean, and even as soon as you start watching the movie, it shows Mickey Rourke's name first. It doesn't just go in alphabetical. Mickey Rourke's name is first because he's in every story. He's not, however, the main character in any of the stories, except for the very first one. But he still, I mean, you could tell he loves this character. He loves this world. He has a lot of fun in this movie, and he fits right back into the mold of Marv, which I really liked. And there's a lot of parts where you're laughing because, like, some of the violence in the movie is above and beyond what they did in the first one. And this one, like, you're sitting there going like, oh man, like some of the things actually brought out that response for me. So I was pleasantly surprised about that. I had some apprehensions about this movie, but a lot of the things about it were removed once I saw it. Ava Green also, especially coming off of 300, Rise of an Empire, she makes one hell of a villain in this movie. She is just diabolical. But oh my God, is she gorgeous. Like, I mean, she literally is the dame to kill for. And you can really see why when you watch the film. But outside of all of those things, there were a few negatives that I had about the film. One of the biggest ones and the most jarring ones, and I think the one that everybody had up until this point, was why did it take 9 years to get the sequel? When watching this movie, it doesn't look as though there's any real reason as to why we had to wait this long to get this new movie. It just seems very, very odd to me, and you know, the fan outcry for a sequel was so long ago that when I went and saw the movie, it was in the AVX theater here at the Cineplex, and the AVX is the largest theater that they have. It can seat several hundred people. And there were maybe 15 to 20 people in the theater. So, I mean, the fan outcry for this movie is not as big as it used to be. So if this movie, based on my screening, I don't know if we're going to get a third one. I don't know if this movie's going to even make its money back because it's too late. But, I mean, I still had fun with it. I still really enjoyed it. But another big negative with this movie is that there's now 4 stories instead of just 3. So the movie does run a little too long. There is a segment in the movie where it was about 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the way through, where I'm sitting there going, okay, come on, let's get a move on now. It's kind of repeating itself a little bit in terms of the themes that it's trying to tell. So there were little things like that. One of the segments, though, and I won't spoil it for those of you who still want to go and see it, the movie is still worth going to see if you really did enjoy the first movie, but there's one segment in the movie that has no point whatsoever. Once it finishes, like, I was just sitting there going, why was that even in the film? It doesn't change anything. It doesn't affect anything. It just seemed odd and out of place. I didn't understand why they had that segment in the movie. It's a fun segment, yes, but once you get to the end of it, it doesn't affect anything. There's no point to it whatsoever. So I was really let down by that. And that's actually what caused me to be taken out of the film for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then I finally got back into it right near the end, and the ending action sequence was actually really cool. Another thing too, this is not really a spoiler because it is in the trailer, but I guess you could consider it a minor spoiler. In the trailer, you see Josh Brolin's character is all bandaged up. And I spoke previously about this, thinking that, okay, well, they're going to try to explain it using plastic surgery to connect him with Clive Owen's character, because Dwight in this movie, his storyline is a prequel to the one that was in the first Sin City movie. So Clive Owen's version of Dwight is set after this one. And there is plastic surgery that's done. You don't even get to see it. You just all of a sudden see him in bandages. But they tried to make him look kind of like Clive Owen. And it looks awful. It looks terrible. What they should have done is they should have got Clive Owen back. And they didn't. And I don't know why they didn't. I'd have to look into that. I do not know why. I know that Clive Owen did not have a problem working on the first film, so it wasn't a thing where he didn't want to come back. I don't believe it would have been scheduling issues either, because up until recently, Clive Owen has not really done a whole lot. But he is now working on the new television show, The Nick. So yeah, I just don't get it. I mean, it was an odd creative choice to do that. But in general, I mean, outside of those few little parts, I rather found the movie entertaining. It was very in line with the first movie. It was just a little bit too long. But yeah, I mean, my overall score of the movie is a 7 out of 10. I was wrestling between 6.5 and 7 out of 10, but I figured, you know what, it lived up to a sequel to the first movie in terms of that it was pretty much a direct continuation of that theme and that style. So I do feel that it deserves a 7 out of 10. But overall, you know, if you liked the first movie, if you like Sin City, you're really going to like this one. If you didn't like Sin City, you're probably not going to like it, because this is a movie that really is a love it or hate it. This is it's that type of a film. I mean, Robert Rodriguez generically is kind of like that. I mean, Desperado, I rather enjoy Desperado, but I can see why people would not like it. You know, there's a lot of projects that he's worked on, especially Grindhouse. Grindhouse is definitely a niche audience, and I think he's rather set himself up with a niche audience. But yeah, if you like the first one, you're going to love this one. If you didn't like the first one, then unfortunately, I would say try checking it out. I mean, ask some people who have seen it, or ask them if they have seen it, what they thought about it. You know, check Rotten Tomatoes, all that kind of stuff, and just kind of base a good opinion as to whether or not you should see it in theaters or whether or not you should wait till Blu-ray. But yeah, I recommend going to see it, because especially the 3D in the movie is rather cool. They've really done a great stylistic choice with the 3D, and it works really well with the white and black contrast of the movie. It really does pop and stand out, which I really did like. But yeah, that's my review of Sin City: A Dame to Kill For. Let me know what you guys thought about the movie in the comments section below. You can go ahead and click the subscribe button down there in the bottom corner. You can get updates whenever we post a new video. You can find me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And you can find me on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Movie News with Niklsun. And until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.